What's up, you guys? This video is going to be on all things you need to know about IT band pain. So what is your IT band? You hear about this IT band syndrome, friction syndrome. What is your IT band? IT band stands for iliotibial band. Ilio, so it originates at your ilium and inserts into your tibia. But we actually know that it is also tethered onto your femur as well. It comes down into some aspects of the condyles and then into your tibia on Gerdy's tubercle, it's called. So that's where it inserts, and it originates up at the hip. And you have two muscles that attach onto it and help tension it and help kind of control it at the hip. And that's your glute max, the superior fibers, and that's your TFL. So a lot of people do a lot of glute med work for IT band, and that's not a muscle that contributes much to IT band tension and function. It controls the hip in certain planes, but it's not necessarily what we're like attacking for IT band pain. We used to think of it as a friction syndrome, where it was like friction, you're getting friction at the side of the knee, but it's not. It's a compression injury. There's a very sensitive fat pad underneath where the IT band comes down and inserts, and you get too much compression on that structure, and it's highly innervated, which means it can cause a lot of pain when it's sensitive to that compression. So that's why we don't roll the IT band. You're just going to add more compression to a compression injury. And you can't release your IT band. It's such a strong band of connective tissue. It's not going to release. So there's no point in really like reefing down on your IT band. And that's not why that we have pain because of tightness. Like, it's a capacity issue. So that leads me to, why do we get it? It is mostly a training load error. So it's a capacity issue. We did too much too soon, and then that causes pain. The body doesn't have time to adapt, and it's an overload. So we do see it in a lot of new runners where you're kind of doing too much too soon. But in saying that, I've had it. I still deal with it sometimes. I'm not a new runner, so it can kind of happen to anyone. If you've had it, you know it can 100% make you call your spouse or your partner to come pick you up because you cannot run another step. It is so painful. It's not something you can just run through like a lot of other types of pain with running. It will stop you. And so the thing is it will stop you from running, and then people rest, and then you try and go back to it, and you can't get back your capacity just with rest, because one, you're doing too much too soon. The tissue doesn't have the capacity for it. Then you rest, so capacity is going to go down even more. And then you're going to try to run again, and you're not even going to be able to run as far as you could before because your capacity dropped because you weren't running. So it's a cycle, and it's really frustrating for runners. And so I'm pretty passionate about it. And of course, it's like all the things I treat, I basically had it, so I know how to get rid of it. And I kind of know the research and behind it, and what the evidence says to do. So the biggest thing for me is to keep your runners running. How do you do that? Well, we know uphill running has the least amount of compressive force at the knee, especially compared to downhill. So using a treadmill, getting on a 3 to 5% incline, keeping your fitness up, keeping your capacity up is number one. If you can't tolerate that, then you can uphill walk. Usually that's tolerable. But number one, keep runners running, use a treadmill, uphill grade, 3 to 5%. Then if pain comes on or you get into trouble, like, you can just get off the treadmill, finish your workout on the bike or do your weights. You're not like 3K away from home, stuck, like hobbling home, which I have had to do that before. So treadmill is great for that. Phase 1 is the pain dominant phase, which means pretty much you have pain going downstairs. So if the client or the person or you have pain going downstairs, basically you're in phase 1 rehab, which is uphill running, hopefully, and more hip exercises, which I will show you, to kind of just keep some capacity, keep things going, getting strong, not resting too much, but you are letting the painful tissues kind of calm down a little bit. Once you don't have pain going downstairs, you're considered to be in phase 2, which is the load dominant stage, and that's where we can kind of start more freely loading the knee in different ways, and then getting back to a return to run process outside. So the return to run process is a very particular, strict process that I follow and I make for runners with a walk run, and it follows a progression week to week to week. And so that's something that's definitely the most important in my opinion. The return to run needs to be very strict. You can't just go out and run for 30 minutes or 50 or whatever. It'll probably still be there, the pain. So you have to do a specific walk to run, which reach out to me if you need help with that. The load dominant stage, I will show you kind of the 2 key exercises to do. And then same with the pain dominant phase. I'll show you a few things at the end that I would do. But just know that this whole time we're maybe not running outside, but we are working on capacity because this is a capacity issue. So the position that the IT band is in the greatest amount of strain is in hip extension and knee flexion. And that's why going downhill, your back leg, when you're going downhill, it's basically puts the IT band under more compression, and that's why going downhill and downstairs is worse than going up. So that's why I would remove downhill running at first, hence uphill treadmill. So that hip extension knee flexion is going to load the IT band quite a lot at the knee. And so in saying that, that's kind of the sort of first position you can start kind of loading the IT band. So I'm going to show that as well. Okay, so because it is a sort of taut connective tissue band, it sort of acts like our Achilles tendon. So it is basically supposed to store and release energy and allow us to move. And so phase 3 of rehab is that energy storage and release phase. So it's not enough just to do the strength and then go back to running. You have to do the energy storage and release, hopping and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a separate video of all the exercises that I do for this, but this is just the background knowledge. So if you're treating people with IT band pain, or you have IT band pain and you're like, why is I'm doing so much stretching? Why is it always so tight? What am I doing wrong? Probably doing a little bit too much too soon. And we're not doing enough sort of strength training to support the running as well. So that's just kind of my bias, but it's based in the research. But really, it's a capacity issue. It's nothing necessarily to do with your gait or your body weight or anything like that. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions about that, and then watch part 2 for sort of the rehab exercises that are kind of my go-to for IT band pain.